Diamond P Sports presents the fastest sport on wheels, championship drag racing.
A spectacular engine explosion and fire called a halt to the qualifying attempts of Neil Marr, and the one thing that racers and officials alike find impossible to deal with: rain invaded National Trail. A massive series of thunderstorms and tornadoes moved through the mid-Ohio area, causing the thousands of fans to wait and wonder what was going to happen to the final day of racing. The word from NHRA and National Trail officials not long in coming: no chance for racing this weekend. We'll have to wait until next week. The slogan of this Spring Nationals is probably best expressed by a t-shirt: I survived the swamp, 1981.
Even though you've crossed the finish line, the battle is not yet over. Should you have a parachute failure, as Kerry Swigert did in Top Fuel qualifying, your chances of stopping the car before you reach the catch net, are very slim. Swigert demonstrated the ideal way to attack this net. Hit it head-on, as straight as possible, and you'll do minimal damage to the car, and the driver will almost always walk away. A couple of $1,000s worth of damage to Swigert's automobile, but he's just fine.
So is Bernard, and they're approaching the starting line. Leaving the line together, some smoke off of Jim Bernard's tires. It's a close race at this point. And at the finish line, Jim Bernard wins it, but wait, David Pace is recorded as the winner by the electronic win judge. Let's go back and watch again and see if we can find exactly what happened. They leave the starting line side by side. You see a little smoke off of Bernard's car in the far lane. He begins to move from the straight track. Now it appears they're side by side. And at the finish line, it appears that Bernard gets there first, but yet the win judge indicates that David Pace won the race. We'll try to check on this as racing continues and get back with a story on just what happened on this race between Jim Bernard and David Pace. Meantime, we've had a chance to check on the David Pace-Jim Bernard race, and as we watch in slow motion, we see Bernard's car cross the finish line first. But from another angle on our Diamond P Sports cameras, you see that Bernard crossed the finish line with his wheels in the air. David Pace broke the light beam, and he won the race. Osmond against Smart. We're in the first round of Top Fuel racing at the Spring Nationals, and Butch Osmond with a bit of a hole shot. It looked like he got off the starting line just a little bit ahead of Jody Smart, and he played it to the win. 6.12 seconds is elapsed time. His speed over 229 miles an hour against Dale Armstrong of Torrance, California, who has quite a story.
A week ago, Californian Dale Armstrong rode out a funny car fire so hot that it completely burned up his fire suit. Look at this glove here. Burned off the parachutes, burned up the body, just about destroyed the car, but you look okay except for maybe a little wound on the nose there.
Oh yeah, that's not bad at all. I just got a little plastic on my nose when the shield melted a little bit.
The safety equipment definitely works.
Oh yeah, you can see it does. By looking at these gloves even, I don't even remember my hands being hot.
Okay, take us for a ride from the time the fire started. What happened?
Well, the car was a little bit lean and it started going over the hill, as we say, and I drove a little farther, just a split second, and then I saw fire in the fire windows, and naturally it just shut it off then. And I had already released the parachute, but it didn't seem to make any effect. It must have had a lot of fire behind the car, and it burned it off as soon as it came out. Well, the next thing I did was shut the fuel shut off, which is also a normal instinctive thing, and then reached over and set the fire bottles off. And then it was going backwards, and I couldn't see where I was. I thought I was going off the track sideways, but I was still going down the track, and it went up back onto the track and into the hay bales, and then it came to a stop.
But without a week's delay here, you'd have never been able to rebuild this car. What happened? How did you do it? You went to Pennsylvania?
Yeah, we're lucky. We're only based 4 hours out of here, over in Oil City, Pennsylvania. And Mike has a shop over there, so we just hustled on home and worked at it all week and got it all back together.
Where'd you get another body?
Well, that's the body we had from last year. It's an old speed racer. It don't quite go as fast. Aerodynamically, it's not as good, and it's a little heavier, but it'll get us through this deal.
Trying to make his first Spring Nationals victory a reality. Armstrong and Bernstein close in the middle of the course. It's a close race with Kenny Bernstein pulling it out at the finish line with an arrow pointing inside the cockpit to tell you where Tom Anderson resides. He is concentrating now on getting a good leave against young Mike Dunn. He is a 23-year-old racer. Dunn, the son of Jim Dunn out of La Mirada, California, and smoking the tires in Roland Leong's car. It's still a close race, but at the finish line by about a half a car length, Tom Anderson wins it this season, driving the Pandemonium car. Got to remember Bernie Lewis in checking things over. But all of a sudden, here is something going on. They're telling him to shut it off. They're indicating it is raining at the finish line, the shutdown area of the track. It is dry at the starting line, but the rain at the finish line has caused him to halt the racing for the moment. The crowd trying to find some place to go, to find some shelter. At the finish line, they've already found the shelter, and we'll be back to keep track of the rain and the racing at the Spring Nationals. The pattern of the day at National Trail Raceway near Columbus, Ohio, thunder and lightning, as 3 separate storm systems have moved through the area since we shut off racing about 2 hours ago. For Fuzz Miller and Billy Meyer, it has been get ready, then shut it off and wait. That's right, 3 times they came to the starting line and were forced to shut it off. The spectators finding other things to do. NHRA officials headed by Competition Director Steve Gibbs, utilizing a helicopter and a jet track dryer to get the track ready. Now it's race time. A lot of racetracks have come and gone since he started in this sport at the age of 16. These 2 cars, both from Texas, marking part of the new nitro power that has come to dominate in Top Fuel and funny car racing, and Fuzz Miller with a big upset over Billy Meyer. Marks him as a big favorite moving here into round number 2. As they come into the staging beams, you see the wing on the front of Cap's car designed to help it cut through the air just a little bit quicker. As he leaves the starting line, his wheels in the air, and they're close. What a race. Terry Cap pulls it out at the finish line, 5.98 seconds.
Terry Cap, another 5 here in round 2. A 5.92, round 1, now a 5.98, the engine dry. You appear to really have it together.
We've got her pretty well handled, or I hope. You know, the only thing that happens is the weight. Sometimes you forget what you're supposed to do, but I think I remembered okay. It worked out okay.
You have to retrain, you have to rain out?
Yeah, we're Canadians. We've got to retrain us every once in a while.
Here's your crew. We'll let you go. Terry Cap looks to be awfully tough here at the Spring Nationals.
Out of Dallas, Texas, but they'll need every bit of it to beat the lady, Shirley Muldowney. What a start, and David Pace smokes the tires, but he stays in it. He doesn't even lift out of it. David Pace upsetting Shirley Muldowney, 5.92 seconds, over 247 miles an hour. As we watch again, you see there's no difference as they leave the starting line, and then the tires begin to smoke. David Pace drifts out of that straight track, but he doesn't lift out of it at all. He keeps on going, and David Pace wins it. They move very carefully into those light beams stretched across both sides of the track. Those are the staging lights indicating when they are ready to go. At that point, the switch is thrown and the tree goes green. Osmond out with a hole shot, but here comes Abbott. Oh, it's anybody's race at the finish. Butch Osmond wins it. National Trail Raceway near Columbus, Ohio. We might as well be underwater for the amount of rain that has fallen here today, and it continues throughout the afternoon and early evening hours. The spectators very patient, attempting to find whatever cover possible. Most of the time, they're not very successful in staying dry, but they're having a good time. The heavy rains have played havoc with some of Diamond P Sports' camera equipment. For the NHRA and National Trail track officials, it's a period of waiting, maybe wishing this day had never happened, but waiting they are until finally the dry track gets here, but the skies are dark. In the Pro Stock Eliminator final round, a matchup that has been seen so many times, the Ford of Bob Glidden against the Chevrolet of Lee Shepard, driving for Rare and Morrison. And you see Bob Glidden, the winner, taking home his 34th event victory title, as he has won once again Pro Stock Eliminator. Lights on the racetrack, sufficient for safe racing. And the Christmas tree shines brilliant with a green light as Epperly with a bit of a hole shot. And they're side by side. Tremendous race at the finish. And Craig Epperly pulls off the upset of the meet. For Don Tate, his car owner, a tremendous win for Craig Epperly, the rookie driver. Driving for Larry Minor. Beck Finally coming into the staging beams here in the near lane. A good start by both cars, and it is Butch Osmond drifting towards the center line. He shuts it off, and Gary Beck wins the race. A very happy crew, because it's been a long time coming for Beck, as he has had a dry spell in the winner's circle event. But here at the Spring Nationals, Gary Beck, your 1981 Top Fuel Eliminator champion.